Late Night Crisis at the Tally-Ho by Loren Logsdon. It was a little after midnight on a dark and stormy night in Weeder's Clump, Illinois. Boone Fowler had stopped off at the Tally-Ho all-night diner to put a top on the evening with a cup of coffee and an apple fritter. He had just finished painting the waiting room in Dr. Wanton Slaughter's office. Earlier in the week, he had sanded the floor and refinished it, and tonight he had completed the remodeling. He wanted to celebrate before going home. The Tally-Ho was empty of customers except for one person, who was seated in the back booth and huddled over a cup of coffee. The person was none other than Tug Armstrong, who looked to be fully croissant, completely blotto, 4 sheets to the wind. Boone approached Tug and started to speak, when Tug aroused himself, looked up, and said, "Why, Boone, old friend, old buddy, old cheese pudding, old cabbage, what are you doing up so late?" Before Boone could answer, Tug continued, "We have been celebrating Buzz Beebe's birthday at the Shady Rest. People were buying libations all around, and then we started singing those old songs. Boone, I would be honored if you would join me in a verse of Loch Lomond." Then Tug, in a strong voice full of sentimental emotion, burst forth with the chorus. "You'll take the high road and I'll take the low road, and I'll be in Scotland afore ye. But me and my true love will never meet again on the bonny, bonny banks of Loch Lomond." Boone said, "Sorry, Tug, I don't know the words." Not discouraged in the least, Tug said, "Well, how about the old pine tree?" "Oh, they cut down the old pine tree, and they hauled it away to the mill, to make a coffin of pine for that sweetheart of mine. Oh, they cut down the old pine tree." "Sorry, I don't know that one either." "Don't you think you should just be going home?" "Do you realize what time it is?" Boone said. "Jane will be worried about you." Tug took umbrage at Boone's suggestion. He frowned, shook his head dramatically, and said, "I told Jane I would be late and she should go ahead to bed and not wait up for me." At this point in the conversation, Paige Turner, the night waitress at the Tally-Ho, an English major at Heliotrope University, working her way through college, interrupted. "Mr. Fowler, you should take your friend home. He is in no condition to drive. I have been singing the Heliotrope University fight song with him for the past hour and pouring coffee into him. It has not had any effect. He has really tied one on this time. He can't hold it like he could during his college days. Don't let him drive home." Boone realized that Paige Turner was not exaggerating, so he said, "Come on, Tug, I'll drive you home." "There you go, Boone, always a friend, and friends don't let friends drive drunk, right? We only go around once in life, so we should grab for all the gusto we can. But we should never drive when we're full of gusto. I'll go on one condition. If you will join me in singing one verse of 'I'll Take You Home Again, Kathleen.' Here we go. I'll take you home again, Kathleen, across the ocean wet and wild, to where your heart has never been since you were first a bony child." "Sorry, Tug, I'm too tired to sing. Besides, you have the words wrong." "But it's more important to take you home. We can trust Kathleen to find her own way. Come on, big fella, let's go now." That's a good lad," Boone said as he helped Tug to his feet. As Boone drove to Tug's house on Old Boggs Road, Tug was starting to realize that he was not on the way to Loch Lomond, but to his own home, and he was visited by the thought that he might be in trouble with Jane. Consequently, he said to Boone, "Old Buddy, if you can help me get up the walk and unlock the door for me, I can slip in and Jane will never know. And what she doesn't know won't hurt me." Boone wanted to be sure that Tug was home safely, so he agreed. It was the least he could do for a friend who asked for his help. He steadied Tug as they staggered up to the house. Fortunately, the porch light was on, so they wouldn't have to stumble around in the dark. They had succeeded in getting onto the porch without making any noise, when suddenly the front door was flung open and Jane Armstrong stood glaring at the two friends. She had a look in her eyes that would shiver anyone's timbers and turn the Medusa into tiny pebbles. Clearly, Jane was in a fighting mood. Jane pointed at Tug and said, "Just look at you. Why, you're half drunk." "What do you mean, coming home half drunk? And you, Boone Fowler, you consider yourself my husband's best friend. What kind of friend brings his friend home in this condition? How dare you bring my husband home half drunk?" Tug Armstrong, crestfallen at what he considered Jane's unfair attack, looked at his angry wife, shook his head sadly, and said, "Dear, please don't blame Boone. It's not his fault. I just ran out of money."